The critical one for them at the time was fixed odd betting machines. Then all of a sudden, the CMO had this great idea that in-play betting meant that he had to be able to put up odds straight away. So digital signage in the stores was going to be the next critical application for them, which they weren't able to deploy until you could control how bandwidth was being consumed by each of the applications. So suddenly it's given us a really good art of the possible in terms of how can I actually leverage the bandwidth I've got, control it in a way which will more importantly deliver to me the art of the possible. There's loads of these. Mighty is a good example, who are a facilities management organisation. Their ultimate goal is to fire up and fire down offices for people and deliver a cost per seat for everything that they consume, whether it be the desk space, part of the air conditioning, the IT function. And again, to be able to ensure that applications which are part of that cost per seat price deliver in the way they want it to is critical for them. And then when they don't want it, they fire it all back down again. And they go on. I'll cover some more if we've got time. But what I will caveat all of this by saying, and it's something that we mentioned a little bit last night, technology is just part of it. Getting people to think about the art of the possible is aligned to understanding process and people. Half of the challenge we get with people adopting a new approach to consuming applications is getting them to think differently. The age-old way of trying to put it out and see if it works in an environment like a lab works just doesn't work. We can either start small, test it. If it fails, it fails. If it works, accelerate it, as we talked about yesterday. Or it means that we can start looking at helping them understand that the technology itself will lend itself to being able to look at capacity planning. So now I can control. It means that I can start planning on new deployments of applications that I know are going to be critical to me hitting my art of the possible. The other piece that this ties into is around investment realization, and let me explain that. Microsoft, in their wisdom, came out of this beautiful application called Link without actually understanding the impact it would have on the network. That, funnily enough, cost quite a lot of money, and quite a lot of people are starting to work with us around helping them see the realization in the original investment they made in applications which aren't performing in the way they should do. You know, to start a Link call with saying, "Can you hear me?" isn't really the best thing to assume that the application is going to work. And I'll talk a little bit more about how that actually plays into the infrastructure play a little bit later on. As I mentioned, the engagement model is changing for us. The historical conversations with a network manager would be, isn't this just quality of service and I can turn it on with Cisco? To the fact that this is automic in the way that it manages the applications and changes parameters to keep that actual application consistently performing, and I'll go through it again. But more importantly, we're tending to we want to work with customers about driving engagements which are starting to delight and grow their customer base. And we mentioned very earlier a little bit about Carphone Warehouse, which is a very recent win for us, something which was accelerated very quickly around this time last year based on going into peak. Carphone Warehouse, as you probably know, is a last independent retailer on the high street for selling multiple contract mobile phones from multiple providers. And I've just got a couple-minute video here to just give you a view of what we've done there and how they see it.
The Dixons Carphone Group was formed from the merger of Dixons, trading under Korea's PC World, and Carphone Warehouse.
In the UK alone, we have 1,300 stores, around 700 Carphone Warehouse stores, around 420 that we brand Korea's PC World, and then a further 28 stores which are Dixons Retail brand.
The Connectable Services business is a division of Dixons Carphone, which takes the skills, capabilities, and intellectual property and turns those into solutions for other businesses. The
application that we built called Homely, which powers Pinpoint and Carphone, is a tablet-based selling journey. It's designed to understand what the customer's requirements are out of their mobile phone and their network operator, so that we can make sure we deliver exactly the right tariff phone combination to our customers' needs.
Pinpoint allows our colleagues to give customers the right deal simply by taking through a number of processes and aggregating information, be it minutes, text, data, or comparison with the networks themselves, in order to make sure we sharpen a really good deal for the customer at the end.
It's really key to us that our Wi-Fi, and particularly quality of service on the Wi-Fi, works well. Working with BT has made a fundamental difference to our ability to deliver our digital journeys in the store.
BT brought forward to us through their Connect optimization arm a product like Infovista, which we put through a proof of concept, and that gave us some really positive indications and positive results with regards to prioritisation of traffic. We're able to harness the best connectivity, ensuring that we can deliver the best possible application performance for Pinpoint to our customers.
We managed to do some really, really interesting things with our store Wi-Fi network, not only to allow us to make sure those transactions complete, but also look at the type of transactions about the way that application is behaving.
We were able to roll out Infovista into 200 stores in a really aggressive time frame of less than 5 weeks.
Our vision about the digital workforce and our colleagues is driven by our customers. So the reason Dixons Carphone has deployed this Pinpoint and future generations of that technology that we're building is to make sure that the customer can interact with us the way the customer wants to, not the way we force them to interact with us. What a third party gets is the same level of ability to adapt new sales journeys, new upsell, new cross-sell, new features into the sales journey. It's a very, very unique application.
The results have been incredibly impressive. Since we launched Pinpoint into retail, we've seen a 40% increase in conversion. We've also seen a 30% increase in our customer satisfaction scores. So our NPS score, how we measure customer satisfaction, is now the highest in our industry.
So I think you'll find that just even the way that Carphone talk about the solution we've put in there, they don't really talk much about technology. They're talking about outcome, and they're talking about the types of conversations they now have had with their customers, how the growth of the customer base is growing. And I think that's just important to talk a little bit about that, because our technology is an enabling technology. You know, it would be similar to a tyre on a car. On its own, a tyre is not much use. But if you're selling a vision to a family that they can go and watch the Northern Lights and have a snowball fight on the top of the mountain, and I put that tyre onto a Range Rover, suddenly it delivers an outcome. And that's how we tend to work with organisations moving forward around. This will enable you to suddenly start delivering upon the expectations you thought applications could deliver, but now can deliver, okay? What's that going to mean to Carphone? Well, we've solved the first problem, which was making Pinpoint work, which is a front of store POS, or the front of store device to allow them to quote. Once you find out the actual tariff and the phone you want, you still currently go to the till. Till's about to disappear. All they're going to do is increase the functionality, so you'll actually sign the deal and sign your contract, stand with the guy with the iPad. So it's given them the confidence that they can increase that application to make it even more customer-centric and to deliver even higher experience, which for us it's a perfect case study, and one which we're tending to see not so much just in retail, but in other organisations who are struggling around the adoption, moving to Office 365, struggling around productivity tools on Link and Microsoft Skype for Business, all of which are just as important to people in different businesses. So that's what we've been doing with our customers. And I'll give you a very quick, because I know I'm between 5 minutes, right, really quick, just to give you a view about how does the technology actually work.